Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all of you. On Saturday, we get a fantastic matchup with huge playoff implications.
You are Locked On NFL Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Locked On Podcast Network. I am your host, David Droegemeier of the Locked On Chargers podcast, and I am joined by John Hickman, the host of the Locked On Texans podcast. And we've been doing this for a very, very long time, and we got a fantastic matchup to get into, a game that to me is a primetime game because there's no other games that are going on in this time slot. It is Chargers and Texans on TV with nobody else. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all of you and your families. Thank you so much for taking some of your time today to check out this podcast. But before we get into it, Crossover Thursday is presented by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in the lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. We're going to get into the biggest storylines for each one of these football teams, get into some of the premier matchups as well, and finish this thing off with our keys to victory for each one of these football teams. As the Chargers are hosting this game, we'll go ahead and kick things off with the Houston Texans. John Hickman, how are you, man? And what is the biggest storyline going into this matchup on Saturday?
Injuries, man. You guys do a very good job of getting after the quarterback out there in LA. And Houston could potentially be without Trent Brown, who's been huge for Houston in the pass protection game, and also their rookie left tackle, Ariante Ursary, who's also been playing some good football as of late, I think, over the last 4 games. And I say 4 because you guys on a 4-game win streak. But he's allowed under 10 pressures. I think maybe 1 sack. He's been playing some damn good football. So I think for the Houston Texans, an extremely hot team. They own the longest win streak right now in the NFL. I think it's Houston, Jacksonville, and maybe you guys. So they've primarily been able to do that with their defense, but key pieces on the offensive side of the ball has helped this team stay in games, keep the fight alive, and you can't have this win streak without Trent Brown and Ariante Ursary in their protection. So I think right now that's the biggest storyline for the Houston Texans because they'll be going up against, like I mentioned, you guys over there in L.A., I know y'all ain't got the best of tacos, but y'all got some guys that can get out there. You know I was going to bring it back.
That's so funny, man. That's a throwback for you right there.
But you guys get after the quarterback extremely well. So I think that's going to be an extremely difficult challenge. And right now for Houston, going up against a team that is running the ball very well like you guys are, got Hampton back. I mentioned the injuries. The D-tackle unit for Houston had been the best as of late. They've been down. Tim Settle and Mario Edwards both lost them due to injury. They've been kind of able to get some guys in. Just play for you guys. The D-tackle, I just spoke with him. Naquan Jones.
Yeah.
And he's been able to get a few snaps in for Houston the last couple of weeks. But that's been a weakness for Houston over the last, 3 to 4 weeks now. So just to see how they're able to bounce back, been able to stop the run.
Weaknesses on that Texans defense? Nah, there's absolutely no way. I mean, that defense is absolutely scary. It is still one of the best defenses in the National Football League against the pass and against the run. I mean, they're top 5 or top 10 in both of those categories, as well as being the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL. And so for the Chargers, this one's pretty obvious. The biggest story here is, can they avenge that embarrassing playoff loss from last year? Like, Justin Herbert definitely has not forgot about it. The Chargers that were here before have not forgot about it. This is a game that they are very much looking forward to, a game that was circled on the schedule from the very beginning. They want their get back. The Chargers were thoroughly beaten by the Houston Texans last year. I mean, no matter what they tried to do, they were handled. Now the Chargers brought in a lot of new weapons, a lot of new offensive pieces, because you look at the stat line of that game, it was Ladd McConkey with 196 receiving yards and then nobody else with more than 20. So what do the Chargers do? They bring in Keenan Allen. They draft Omarian Hampton, as you talked about. They bring in Aronde Gadsden II, bring in Trey Harris in the draft, Keandre Lambert-Smith in the draft. a lot more offensive firepower to try to be a little bit more balanced. And this is going to be a true test. This is one of the most dominant defenses in the NFL. The offense has been so, but that defense is scary, scary good. They have guys that get after the quarterback. They got guys that can take the football away. It is a very, very tough task, but the Chargers playing good football. They beat up a bad Dallas Cowboys defense. Can they do anything close to that against one of the premier defenses in the league in the Houston Texans? That is going to be a big question.
Yeah, and I also want to talk about the Chargers defense really quick. As I mentioned, Houston will be without two of their starting tackles. What has it been about this Chargers defense? Y'all are top 10 in a lot of categories. A top 10 defense, from a coverage standpoint, from the standpoint of being able to get after the quarterback, which is going to be huge for you guys. For my Texan listeners out there, what should they be on the lookout for in terms of how the Chargers defense has been playing this year?
Yeah, I mean, the Chargers defense does an excellent job of preventing explosive plays. They keep those two safeties over the top. They want to keep everything underneath. They want to make you play offense via death by 1,000 paper cuts. They want to make you dink and dunk all the way down the field. They do not want to allow any of those big explosive plays. They want to do enough against the run, but they're playing coverage. They want to prevent the big pass plays from happening and occurring. And, they'll bend a little bit, but when they get to the red zone, they don't break, and they don't want to break. They want to keep them out of the end. They've done an excellent job this year. The Chargers defense is at their best when they are controlling the running game on early downs and allowing that three-headed monster of a pass rush to get crazy on third and longs and marry up with that pass coverage. The Chargers pass coverage is fantastic. They have several guys back there that are playing high quality football, with Derwin James, the safety, with Tarheeb Still, the corner, with Cam Hart on the other side. Deion Henley in the middle, Khalil Mack on one edge, and Tuli Pelotu on the other. And then, of course, you add in Odafe Owe, who they traded for from the Baltimore Ravens, who, all of a sudden has 7 sacks in, think 8 or 9 games. It's unbelievable to see what he's been able to put together. The Chargers defense is at their best when they're stopping the run. When they're not stopping the run, it is a big, big difference maker. So if the Chargers are stopping the run, they're able to allow the strength of their defense to really shine through, which is that marriage of the pass coverage and the pass rush.
Could be a long day for Houston. I just looked it up. On third down, they run a ton of cover 2. They want cover 3 at a 31% rate, cover 2 at a 20% rate, which is the second highest for third down defense. And so you talk about the two safety look. I wonder how Nick Caley, a very inexperienced offensive coordinator in his first year, but, TJ Stroud will be able to take that coverage and use it to their ability. Stroud has been extremely good passing in the middle of the field. But you mentioned dinking and dunking. This could be a game where if they look for any advantage, maybe the running backs versus a safety or a linebacker to create some challenges to that defense underneath. I'm very curious to see how Houston can get this dub.
Yeah, it's going to be I think a true test for both of these teams, right? The Houston Texans are trying to clinch their spot and try to improve their seeding, and the Chargers still have the AFC West that's in front of them. If they're able to pull out this game, which they know is not going to be easy, then they set up a big time matchup with the Broncos the very next week, and that one would be for the division. But make no mistake, there is nobody, and I mean nobody, that's overlooking this Houston Texans team. There's a lot of respect there, as there should be. This is a very, very well-coached football team. DeMeco Ryans is an excellent head coach. He's done a fantastic job with that team, and they're rolling. And I think before they kind of stubbed their toe a little bit against the Raiders, they were really finding it on both sides of the ball. And I mean, that was a game that was very uncharacteristic, but we're not expecting that Texans team to show up on Saturday. We know they're going to be highly motivated, and they want to pull this victory out against a very good Chargers team. This is going to be good on good. And so with that being said, we got to get into some of the best and biggest, most important matchups that are going to help decide this football game. And we are going to get into that right after this. But first, I got to talk to you guys about PrizePicks. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The holiday season is one of the best times for sports. Bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes, it's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, lock in your lineup, and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Creating a lineup takes less than a minute, and the app makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. The early payout feature is a great bonus. When your lineup starts strong, you may get the option to cash out early. Deposits and withdrawals are quick and easy, which keeps everything flowing. For this game, you could go with Justin Herbert to throw more or less than 216.5 passing yards and pair that with Nico having more or less than 4.5 receptions. It's that easy. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. And we're back here on this crossover Thursday episode. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you once again. We're going to get into the biggest matchups that are going to help decide this football game for the Houston Texans. What is the biggest matchup that you're going to be keeping your eye on in this football game on Saturday?
It's definitely going to be the defense and Justin Herbert. I mean, I can look at the Chargers D front getting after CJ Stroud, who hadn't been hit a lot lately. So, I know he's enjoying that, and he's going to be going up against a good Charger defense without his starting tackles that has really done a very good job of protecting him. So that's also an extension of the storyline and matchups, however you want to look at it. But Herbert remembers. He remembers what happened earlier this year in January when – after that game, I think nationally, and I don't know, maybe locally, people start to question whether or not he's the answer at quarterback or is it time to move on, right? That was the type of playoff game that he had, right? And so now you look at Herbert this year kind of rebounding. Still seems like a run-first offense, but Quentin Johnson has had a good year for you guys. 8 TDs. Ladd McConkey hadn't had the year that he had in his rookie year, but he's still playing good football. Keenan Allen, just don't get old. He still figures out a way to get the job done.
Mr. Third Down.
Mr. Third Down. So maybe Herbert has a little bit of comfortability there going up against this Texan defense, knowing he has somebody that he's played and got 1,000 or more reps with. But I know he remembers. Every player remembers that one welcome to the league moment. And for Herbert, it wasn't a welcome to the league moment. It was a, oh, my goodness, I got to get my ish together moment.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at how he's going to rebound. And also for the Houston Texans defense, they hadn't had crazy sack games as of late, a couple last week. They won a game with maybe, I think, one against the Chiefs. But the Thursday night Buffalo game, when they had 8 sacks, they hadn't had that performance lately. And they know that with the offense breaking down, the defense is going to have to step up and have one of those moments to will themselves to victory. So the defense understanding what's in front of them, and I also think just Justin overall, I got to redeem myself. This is a team that made me look like one of the worst quarterbacks in that moment in playoff history. I got to be better. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a huge, huge game for Justin Herbert, and we'll see how he shows up. We'll see how Greg Roman shows up, how he is able to scheme some receivers open against a very, very tough defense. I think for me, it's definitely the Chargers offensive line versus the Texans front. I mean, last year, the Chargers got whooped up front, and that was with Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt, their top 2 tackles. Every starter in that matchup allowed at least 3 pressures, and the Chargers have found a solid solution at left tackle with Jamaree Salyer, but he hurt his hamstring last game, so we don't know if he's going to be back in the lineup or not. Justin Herbert has faced more pressures and hits than anyone in the NFL this year, and the Texans rank 2nd in pressure percentage and also have 2 guys that have 11.5 sacks or more on the edges with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. And, of course, have a couple of guys in the middle that are able to get after the quarterback as well. So a lot of pressure, a lot of just physical freak demons on that Houston Texans defense. How they're able to handle that pressure, how they're able to find solutions to get the ball out of Justin Herbert's hands quickly and into the hands of receivers or playmakers is going to be a huge matchup that's going to help decide this football game.
And also Hampton's back, Fidel's back. It's a good 1-2 punch you guys got, man.
Vidal went down with a neck injury in the last game, so I don't know if he's going to be ready for this one, unfortunately. But the Chargers did sign Jarrett Patterson, and they also have Hassan Haskins, who is more of a bigger type body back. But Jarrett Patterson and Omarian Hampton are still a similar 1-2 punch, with Omarian bringing some of that violence and Jarrett Patterson being a little bit more of that elusiveness.
And I like Hampton a lot. We just saw what Ashton Jeanty was able to do to the Houston Texans. And, we talk about a defense and how great they've been. We talk about a weakness in this defense for this year. And they improved on it, which makes it so frustrating. But missed tackles are starting to creep back up on this team. And they had weeks of, under 10 missed tackles, under 7 missed tackles. And it was 5 here, 4 there. But Jeanty, good player, kind of exposed the defense a little bit and made guys miss tackles and got upfield and made huge plays. And so I look at Hampton, and do I think he's Ashton Jeanty? I don't know, man. I think Jeanty's in a weird position with the Raiders with that offensive line, and then also look at how he missed time this year, but he's still a damn good young back. And so, I look at, can Houston cut down on those missed tackles in the run game or just all together? The one thing that Houston can't afford is allow big gains, right? We can't allow something underneath to go for a huge yak yard play, or can't allow a lot of deep shots down the field, but you can't allow running backs to kind of run all over you. If that happens, then you're looking at the Chargers potentially controlling the time of possession. And with Houston's offense struggling to be consistent, you can't afford to not be on the field because that offense continues to control the ball, because everybody put Houston in a shootout mode, and I don't think this offense is ready for a shootout, or I don't think this offense is ready to try to bring the team back down 10 points. So they got to be able to bring these running backs down. They got to be able to bring these guys down, keep the ball underneath, bring them down, 3rd and long, get off the field, and you just pray your offense can be consistent with putting points on the board.
It's an excellent point that you bring up with the running game, because another thing that went wrong in that playoff game was the Chargers couldn't run the ball at all. They ran it for 2.3 yards per carry, which is abysmal. Like, it's really difficult to play offense when you are that one-dimensional. And I mean, it's really one-dimensional to the point that there's one player. I mean, we talked about it was Ladd McConkey going crazy and then nobody else doing anything. And you got to have a lot more balance. And Omarian Hampton is part of that balance. He is a very physical runner. He hardly ever goes down on first contact. He breaks tackles. He is a big bruiser that has some speed. I mean, you get him to the outside, he can really break one. Like, he is a very talented back. He is definitely going to be very important in this matchup. I think the next one for me, as far as matchups, that's going to be very important. Obviously, you look at that Houston Texans offense. Who is the number one guy? It's Nico Collins, obviously, and it's not hard to see why. He is a beast of a player, has been for a very long time. And Nico Collins killed the Chargers in that first matchup. 7 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown, averaging 17.4 yards per catch in a playoff game. That's big numbers. Another big receiver had their way with the Chargers defense. Although it was just that, not really anybody else. It was George Pickens going for 7 receptions for $130 and a touchdown, which he was able to burn Cam Hart in that one. So how the Chargers are able to control or hopefully contain as much as they can the dominant force that Nico Collins is going to be a huge matchup that will definitely play into how this game is decided.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this offense being as limited as it has been at times this year, good teams, when you play good teams, you got to make sure your best players are involved. And for Houston, they got to make sure that Nico is involved in every quarter. Dalton Schultz involved in every quarter, every drive, every possession. But I'm also curious, and let me know, the cornerback situation with you guys out there, because, at the second level, is there any weakness for my Texas fans to look forward to from the Colts. Not Colts, I'm sorry. I saw Boats, and I'm sorry. But from the Chargers, that can give Houston a sign of hope that maybe Christian Kirk can get, going in this game. Maybe the rookie Jaden Higgins can get it going. Maybe Xavier Hutchinson can get it going. You guys are a very good defense at all three levels. Is there a weakness in the secondary, or will the offense just have to get it out the mud?
They have dealt with some injuries in the secondary with Dante Jackson, who left the game. They did say he was going to be day-to-day. And Cam Hart, like I talked about, kind of got burned a little bit by George Pickens, gave up a couple of catches for 66 yards, including a 38-yard touchdown. So I think, maybe, Cam Hart and whoever's replacing Dante Jackson, whether it's Dean Leonard or Benjamin St. Juste, who also went down with an injury, just a couple of injuries that they are dealing with. So I wouldn't go at Tar Heap still. I would not go at Derwin James. He's one of the premier safeties in the National Football League, and he's the guy I would imagine is probably going to be tasked with trying to slow down Dalton Schultz. I mean, that's going to be a popcorn type matchup, two, mano-a-mano, like big stars on each side of the ball. That's going to be a huge matchup in this game. But as far as who's going to win this game and how they are going to win this game, the keys to victory is coming up right after this. Back here on Crossover Thursday, I am David Droegemeier of the Locked On Chargers podcast with John Hickman of the Locked On Texans podcast, and we are here getting close to finishing this very special Christmas episode, and we got to finish this up with our keys to victory. And of course, as always, the home team is the Chargers, so I'm going to allow the visitors to get this thing kicked off. Keys to victory. What is the most important key for the Houston Texans to pull out a big victory on Saturday afternoon?
This is a tough one for me because I think Houston's going to run up into it a very tough matchup. This is a tough matchup for Houston. If I would, and they're without their starting tackles, might I add. So they're going to move Titus Howard back over, I'm sure, put Blake Fisher out there. Blake Fisher has been featured a lot this year as an inline tight end, jumbo package tackle. But if I were to say the keys to victory, obviously the defense has to play their best ball, right? And D'Amico Ryans in back-to-back weeks, and I just so happen to be blessed to be there, mentioned against the Cardinals and the Raiders, we didn't play up to our standard defensively. And this is a team that hangs their hat on the defense, right? The Texans scored 40 against the Cardinals, but the defense gave up 20, and he wasn't happy. So the defense is going to have to get back to their standard. I can't allow these explosive plays. I had it written down, but against the Raiders, the Texans defense allowed 6 plays of 10 or more, which is kind of average in the NFL, but 3 plays of 30 or more yards. That's not the Texans standard. That's not the defensive standard. So they're going to have to play good ball, and I think offensively, given the challenges that they have all year, they have to manage the game, control the time of possession, right? Offensive line has to do a better job of securing their first block, get into the second level, giving running lanes for their running backs, right? And when the pass and throws are needed to be made, franchise quarterbacks make them. And I think C.J. Stroud is a franchise quarterback. He's had problems this year, but he's going to have to be excellent this game against the Chargers defense. And so Nico Collins involved, Dalton Schultz involved. Again, find a way to get Christian Kirk involved to be that third-headed monster and control the time of possession, and maybe they can win this game.
Yeah, I think for the Chargers, it's learn from your mistakes. The game plan last year was not good enough on either side of the ball, whether it was offense or defense. Got to learn from those mistakes and also use what worked, right? The first time, it was Ladd McConkey going absolutely crazy. He has to be heavily involved in the game plan, and I'm sure that he will be, but not just him. You got to spread it around. You got to get the ball to everybody. You got to have contributions from everyone. And that's why the next one is the young guys got to step up. I mean, the biggest improvements for the Chargers is the rookies that they brought in and the major contributions that they've been able to make. Tight end Arante Gadsden II is a big addition. Over 600 receiving yards so far this year. He wasn't there last year. Omarian Hampton also wasn't there last year. And also, fair or not, the rookies are going to have to play like vets this week. I mean, they just need it. They're going to require it everyone is going to have to step up if the Chargers want to win this game. Jamaree Caldwell, the defensive tackle, R.J. Mickens, one of their late round safeties, a guy who has a couple of interceptions. Those guys have to step up and play their best football if they want to win this game. And then third and last but not least, it's special teams. They have to come through. Chargers offensively and defensively will need the special teams to help them pull out this game. A return touchdown would be phenomenal. But even if they could just get a couple of returns to help set them up for shorter fields to be able to score, that's going to be massive. And also, they're going to need their punter to be able to control the field position as well. Pin them inside the 20. Make them have to scale the length of the football field. No short field. It can't happen. Those are all things that the Chargers absolutely have to do if they want to pull out a very important victory on Saturday.
Well, can I ask you, how's the special teams right now for the Chargers?
They're okay. I think as far as kicking a field goal, they are one of the best in the league. They have the most accurate kicker in NFL history with Dicker to the kicker, who has been pretty much automatic. Their punt game is all about the hang time. J.K. Scott is all about limiting returns and, kicking it sky high and making them have to fair catch. He's done an excellent job at that. His net yardage isn't the best. It never has been, but that's not the way he, really does his thing. The return game is something that has left a lot to be desired. They did have an all-pro returner with Darius Davis, but he's missed the last couple of weeks with a knee injury, and he didn't practice today, and I don't know if he's going to be ready for this game on Saturday. So they're going to have Keandre Lambert-Smith step up once again. They've been having Lab McConkey at least fair catch on punt returns. I don't know if they're really comfortable letting him actually do a punt return just because how important he is to the Chargers offense. From a coverage perspective, they've been a little leaky on kick returns. They haven't allowed any super big kick returns, which is good. And they do have a special teams ace with Del'Shawn Phillips, who is an absolute tackling machine. He truly is a fantastic player, but they can get away with it. They can get away with allowing a couple of returns that they absolutely should not allow. So if the Texans, get a big return, that could really help them shorten the field with an offense that's trying to find their footing.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of looking at some of the numbers right now. If one area of this game where I think Houston can create an edge, it would be in the return game for the rookie Jalen Noel. Has a couple of very good returns this year. And again, those returns help Houston's offense kind of have a short field to work with. They don't necessarily have to go the distance to score points. And a good return with how Kaimi Fairbairn has been playing over the last couple of seasons, hey, all you got to do is get it to the 48, and you may be able to trust him to knock it down, right? So that's an edge for Houston that I think Texan fans and Charger fans need to look out for.
Yeah, no question about it. Both teams have excellent kickers, and this game very well could come down to a game-winning field goal. We will definitely have to see. But that is going to wrap things up for this Crossover Thursday episode. Once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you and your families. Thank you so much for taking some of your time on this holiday to spend it with us here at the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm sure John Hickman's got some great stuff cooking up there on the Locked On Texans. Of course, we're going to be back with our Keys for Success episode as well, so please look out for that. But for John Hickman, I'm David Droegemeier. Thank you so much for checking us out, and take care and have a good one.